It's Tuesday and we're on Melrose Mountain. It's about noontime and the temperature is 79 degrees. Yeah, the cool weather's over and we're starting to get a little bit of warmth for the rest of the month of August, and so it's going to be swimming weather for sure. I was downstairs just outside the utility room just yesterday, and I moved a piece of carpet that's out there to get the clay off your feet, and there I saw a little paw print of Honey, my dad's golden retriever. Now that dates back all the way to the late 1970s, that Honey put her foot in that wet cement. Not on purpose, but she didn't know it was wet. And that got me thinking about markers and reminders and different things. I started thinking about the scriptures, and I realized that it was Jacob that used stones for his head, built an altar. Moses built altars out of stone, and Joshua was instructed to have 12 men take stones and use those as a memorial of the crossing of the Jordan River. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5, it says that we're living stones building up a spiritual house. But I remember also preaching several times about thinking about where we've been, where we're going, and how far we've come. That is, driving down a stake from time to time. There have been several stakes in my life that I drove down. When I first got married, there was a stake driven down. When I was saved, there was a stake driven down. As God got a hold of my life with a Bible study group, I drove a stake down and started to see my spiritual growth. And there have been a number of stakes. And this past Sunday, we were in church, and the pastor of the church that we attend in Landrum, South Carolina, resigned. Much to our surprise, we thought he was doing a great job and that he was happy and the church was happy. But he said there are seasons of life, and this was the time that he felt that it was time to move on. And so he drove down a stake. I wonder today, if you just reflect for a moment, where you've been. How much have you grown spiritually? What are the major events of your life? What are you striving for? Can you look ahead to see a place where you'd like to drive down a stake and say that by such and such a time I'd like to have accomplished a certain thing, whether it's physically or spiritually? I look back on my life and I look at the stakes along the way, but I also look forward. And I'm looking forward to this new chapter in my life. What spiritual things will happen in my life? How will God use me? And what kind of stakes will I be driving down as I move forward? I think it's wise for us to constantly think about spiritual growth, drawing closer to Jesus, and setting out spiritual goals to become more like Christ, to be able to drive down a stake and say, I've accomplished this. I've grown this much spiritually. I've accomplished the things that I wanted to accomplish in many different ways. One of the men in my Sunday school class this past week said, our church is not evangelistic enough. And I'd like to know how to share my faith. And I thought to myself, wow, may his tribe increase. How I would love to come in and train him and anyone else that has that kind of mindset on how to share their faith with others, how to turn an everyday conversation into a soul-winning opportunity. Well, I hope you'll think about the stakes you've driven down in the past. Hope you'll think about the stakes that you can drive down in the future. Set some spiritual goals for yourself. Then drive down a stake to remember, just as I remembered Honey, the golden retriever, as she stepped in that wet cement. What a good companion, what a good friend she was. What a wonderful memory. But my memories of some of the spiritual things that I've accomplished are far greater. And I hope that you'll have some far greater spiritual stakes to drive down. God bless you and have a good day.